Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your weekly live of Ask the Accountant, episode 119. Aaron, I realised over the weekend, I'm really gutted that I do the uneven numbers and you do the even. Because next week I can't introduce us going 120. But yeah, hope everybody is well and you've all had a good first week of February. It's nice, isn't it, not to have to worry about tax returns and stuff, and spend some time working on your practice and improving your tech stacks and stuff. And we're seeing quite a lot of that in the social media and everything at the moment. So fantastic. Aaron, how are you and how was your week and weekend?
It's been very good. Speaking of numbers, I looked cheekily at Tom Herbert's accounting tech bites. He's on number 99. So next week, the big 100. And we know us.
Big centenary, that's important
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
That's really gone quick as well, hasn't it?
It has.
That is, and it's become a staple of the watch. But yeah, my weekend was fantastic. I was not working. I think I said off earlier, I sent about 10 emails maybe all weekend, which was good. And most of them were just like yes or no. So straightforward ones. The ones we like to.
Did you use Copilot to fatten up the yes or no?
Yeah, I typed yes, pressed Copilot, and then it did this whole thing. Yeah,
Dear Johann.
So they don't come back straight to me. You know what I mean? Like they got to process it, go through from there. So it was good. And I went to Bristol. So speaking of Tom, that's where Tom Herbert's from.
He's in that area.
Kind of web certainly from there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if Tom Herbert as well. But yeah, went to do some escape rooms with Ash from Engager, right? So he nipped over and his lovely fiance. We went to do these escape rooms. So first of all, we did a Grand Way Out because that's why we went, because it was Bristol related to Wallace and Gromit. So we got out of the Wallace and Gromit one, so that was good. 9 minutes 55, and then we challenged ourselves to the hardest room that there's ever been, or something, whatever. But I'm the worst at buying things, right? I start buying stuff on online or anything, and then they'll have this little extra bit that you can buy. This little. I'm the worst.
Johann also brought this when he brought this.
Yeah, exactly. You put that there, and I just get FOMO if I don't press it. So for a marketing tip out there, just that's I'm a marketer's dream on that. Team name for this one, I just call myself the Tourist, whatever. This one I call myself the Dinosaurs, because obviously I'm a dinosaur for helping clients out in January. And we got out in the hardest one in 6 minutes 19. So yeah, that's
nice.
Very, very. It felt good to go out there and prove ourselves. So yeah, it's all good. But yeah, what about yourself? You had anything exciting this weekend? Was it just a chill one or
chilled weekend? Just chilled weekend. Sat, watched the rugby.
Of course, yeah. Happy or sad?
Oh, fantastic last-minute win by England. I thought that was a fantastic second half of the match. My wife, being Scottish, is still being consoled about their performance against France. Yeah. But to be fair, they did try. Bless them. They tried, but France was just a better team. Not France, sorry. Ireland.
That's England, but yeah.
I was thinking England and France. But yeah, now, of course, we are nothing if we're not here for our community. So let's say good morning and happy Monday to who's in the chat.
Maybe we should ask the chat what they thought to the Super, because everyone obviously watched Super Bowl as well, right?
Of course, I was not asleep in bed by 10:30 last night.
Telly, weren't you? Were you upset for Taylor Swift? Because I think that's the whole. Apparently, everyone's just upset that Taylor Swift's team didn't win, and that's all.
Is it Taylor Swift's team or just her boyfriend's team? I don't know.
Taylor Swift's team, apparently. Yeah, probably. And she got booed while she was there as well, while President
Trump that's not very nice.
Clapped, so that's a worrying sign for what's going to happen.
Clarity gone wrong. Right, so good morning to Paul Whitehouse, to Louise. Thank you guys for jumping in straight away. Morning, Nick Moss. Hope you are well. Fab getting even closer. Yeah, Nick, we are going to be talking about that later today. Morning, Natasha. Good morning to Kirsty, where it is wet and miserable in March in Cambridgeshire. Susanna, good morning. Good morning to Marcus. Marcus, stick around. We're going to be talking all things Zama very soon.
His ears must have been burning today.
He must have, yeah, definitely. But stick around. We're talking all things Zama very soon. Dave, good morning. I'm assuming from India still.
Ed Sheeran's there, so hopefully
Ed Sheeran's in India.
Yeah. He got banned.
That's a sunburnt blister on its way.
He got banned from busking in the street. The police came and turned him off. Not like this riff-raff around here.
Don't want your sport. Go back to Glasgow. Good morning to Sam. Good morning.
Speaking of escape rooms, I wonder if he was involved. Yeah. In fact, were you involved in Locked-in Room Bristol? Were these your doings by any chance? Do let us know.
Carl Beeson, good morning. Paul says, I'm still doing tax returns for a few clients who missed the deadline. Oh, well.
We feel sorry for
cold turkey. Some of us need a little carry on. Just get us through to the next day.
Everyone pour one out for Paul. You know, our feelings.
What a hero. Tim sends a dinosaur emoji.
Tim with a C. So you've got to get his name
Tim
right.
with a C. Tim Chilston, CICB. Good morning as well to Niraj.
Morning.
Tim, this week's weather is cold. Guernsey is cold, apparently. Good morning to Juliet. Good morning to Suzanne. Recovering from Super Bowl blues. Dave says he is still in India. And good morning to Amy Hancock. And it's cold and raining in London as well. Wonderful.
Loving the weather reports there, people. Loving it.
Speaking of cold, raining, dark Monday mornings, it's the right back set, I feel, for the announcement of a funeral.
Oh, yeah, before you go into it, because normally I get you segues and I'm like, oh, here he goes, he's really warming up. I was like, what topic are we doing now? That's a good segue. Because you lost me. You got me.
So we have the sad news of announcing a funeral of a dear friend to many accountants and bookkeepers over the years. A fantastic solution for when the accountants and bookkeepers were starting out and you needed a software that was affordable, reliable, cloud-based. But unfortunately, it has been announced that TaxFiler will be shutting down as of the end of this March 2025. It's a sad day with Aaron's got rain in the office. For our audio listeners, Aaron's got an emoji thing that rains on top of him when he's upset. But yeah, sad day. I mean, I remember TaxFiler. It was my first accounts and tax return software. Was it the best out there? It did its job. It worked for a certain group of clients. As soon as you needed to be able to do what you wanted with a trial balance, that was it, gone. But 30 quid a month. I mean, and that was Iris price. I mean, it used to be cheaper than that. You imported all your data from QuickBooks or Xero or Free Agent, and you had your accounts and tax return done. It was so easy. So it's been on the cards for a while. It's been sat on life support in the care home next door to the Iris graveyard for quite some time. But yes, last week it was announced that it has died and it will be getting buried at the end of March 2025. And any TaxFiler users will be encouraged to use Iris Elements.
Yeah.
I put a post about this in the Engager community on Friday, and it was very, very heavily commented on, to be fair. That was what everyone else is using. TaxCalc came out a clear winner there. But lots of love for Capium in there. A growing amount of love for Zero Tax as well.
Yeah.
Never saw QuickBooks' accounts or tax returns being mentioned in there. But yeah, like I love TaxFiler. Was it perfect for every firm and could you outgrow it quickly? Yes. But I just felt it was such a good gateway to cloud accounting software for accounts and accounts and tax returns. Did you ever use it?
Yes. It was that big key decision. Where do we go? Do we go KPM or do we go tax filer? Many a long night just trying them out both, like trying to figure out which is right for us and everything else. Because you got to remember when tax filer came to the scene, our choices was Iris, the full blown suite costing us thousands a month to implement, to put into place. CCH, they have a really good robust one, but again, not ideally suited for small practices. They're amazing for your mid-tier large firms. Like, they're great solutions for it. Like, so many nice to haves in there. But it wasn't there, and I can't remember why I never looked at other than the fact tax filer was never cloud-based, right? So for me, it was I can't make it work, so I'm not even going to try. And I know there's good solutions, and you can do this hosted malark and all this stuff, and I get it, right? Like, if you're willing to put the time into place, tax filer can work for anyone, but for us at the time, tax calc, yeah. And I understand why that's like clearly the favorite at the moment, and for good reasons. I think they're doing good things with it, right? But I needed a cloud base, so it was tax filer versus KPM. And Nomi I tried as well at the time, but Nomi was nowhere near what I needed at that point. And I loved, I'll always remember TaxCalc as well as one of those first vendors where I was at QuickBooks Connect, the one with the storm, Get Connected, the one. You remember the Beast of the East turned up?
Oh yeah.
So I remember wandering around there. TaxCalc were one of the first vendors to have
tax filer.
Tax filer. Yeah.
Christ. I'm going to get a professional co-host one day.
Maybe we should have a prompt. Which one am I talking about now? But yeah, the idea for me of talking to him then, because they had some really good and interesting, exciting things. They wanted to, at one point, fully integrate with the likes of QuickBooks, where you go onto your QuickBooks accountants area and you can see what the status of their, like you can see with the VAT returns, what the status of their tax position as well, like CT 600 during X amount of days, all that sort of wonderful stuff. Like, that was their ambitions. That's what they wanted to get it to. But it just never materialized, did it? They went Iris, and Iris clearly didn't want to start promoting others. At the time, I think they even wanted to they still wanted to push cash flow, their product, right? Like, that was their dream, was to, no one used QuickBooks Zero Free Agent. It was, let's use cash flow and then we'll bring it in and we'll push it through from there. So I imagine that, from a tax filer point of view, because they haven't said, oh, it's definitely going, have they? They've said they're just going to stop supporting it. That's what well,
the problem is, as of the end of this month, end of March, there's no support available for it, and they're not updating it to meet new requirements for accounts and tax returns. So the moment there's any change of legislation, change of rates, etc., it's redundant. It's useless to us.
Yeah.
So tax filer was always one of those fun ones on the grid, shall we say, things like Accountex and stuff, because there was always rumors flying around about tax filer, like, until Iris brought them, and then that they all stopped. But like, how many times did we hear, oh, we heard QuickBooks were going to buy tax filer? Like, can you imagine that? Tax filer built into QuickBooks. I mean, I wish they had, because it'd be so much better than the accounts and tax return side they've done already.
Exactly.
Like, but tax filer was just, it had a huge community and a huge love in our industry, and rightly so. It was affordable, reliable. It was just a great tool.
Updates all the time, wasn't it? It was like Engager was, right? Like, just update after update after update. You couldn't keep up, right? It was like, oh, well, they put, I mean, it sounds obvious, but they brought XYZ out, and it was like everyone was going out. Yeah.
A sad day in the accounting and bookkeeping industry to lose tax filer. I mean, we've all known it's been coming for a while, but it still hurts when they do announce these things. As Nick Moss says, believe me, tax filer being closed down will make our lives at TaxCalc a lot easier, because everyone keeps mixing them up, just like you are, Aaron. But yeah, it's just one less challenger in a space that really needs innovation, and like, I posted about it this week about bloody work papers. Like, Tax Calc, sort some working papers out for us, because I can't find a single company that do working papers that actually even have their pricing on their website. So my work papers by Bright, no pricing whatsoever. Get in touch. I can't even take
got rid of them now, then, because when they were my working papers, it was transparent. It was.
It wasn't
I
that
say
transparent.
£12 per customer, so
It was
client.
£17 for me, but
that was back then, right? So
yeah. So, but yeah, like, and then even if you went, okay, well, I'll go in blind because I don't know how much it is, you couldn't take a trial out anyway without speaking to one of their sales team. Silverfin, yeah, I can take a trial out without knowing what your pricing is. To be fair to Silverfin, they've got 2 examples of if you've got 100 clients, it's probably going to cost you about this a year per client. If you've got 2,000 clients, it's probably going to cost you about this a year. It's like, it's slightly better, but it's not clear and transparent.
And with Silverfin, you have to take out their whole product range, because
I believe so.
Yeah, just to make it affordable, right? I've looked into it, I priced it up and everything else. Yeah, I see the massive value of it, but unless I was also doing accounts production through them, etc., it wouldn't work for me.
But yeah, like it's such a space that is so desperate for innovation. Like zero tax, QuickBooks doing their accounts and tax returns and stuff. I don't know that's I would call it innovation. They aren't challenging the established products that are out there to go out and improve things that they've already got. So yeah, sad day.
I know Iris Elements is still there, but why? Like, at what point do Iris look at it and go, maybe this is the time where we listen to our users? Because all the users said every time,
never done that before. Why change what you're doing?
All they said with this one is, look, just keep it the same, like keep the feature parity there. And the thing that's upset people, yes, there's a price hike or whatever, but that was going to happen, right? Like, you're going from a quirky little startup to being bought out by a full blown, quote unquote proper company, right? So you're always going to have this price because they're going to have different needs and everything else. So fair enough. And with that price hike was guaranteed, better support and all that sort of stuff should come with it, right? Because you've got all that. So you can kind of get to a point where you go, right, the price point, let's ignore that, right? We same product, but the problem was it wasn't the same product. Like all the customers wanted was the same product, like feature parity, and bringing that, and then add on some extra cool features like Iris Elements, the practice management solution being integrated, all that lot. Like, bring that as an option for us if we want to go down that route. That's great, but it just felt like it was not feature parity, which was just ludicrous, right? Because that's all the one wanted, and then it was just bundling it with this and bundling it with that and making it into this, and people didn't they don't want to have XYZ, right? I think we all sat there one day going, we want this ecosystem, want one ecosystem to rule them all, right? Like, whatever the solution's going to be, we want to be able to have this one ecosystem and everything just talks to one another, and that's the end goal, isn't it? But the more we go down it, the more we go, not one solution can keep up pace. That's what's happening, isn't it? Like, we need to have, as a practice manager owner and a practice owner, we need to have that opportunity to be flexible and find what the best OCR tool is for us, find what the best working paper is going to be for us. Apparently not, but there'll be something out there. Like, QuickBooks works brilliantly for me, but doesn't work for everyone, right? And then find the best FMS solution, find this, find that, find the best payroll. I think we got to start to understand that dream of that ecosystem is only ever going to be a dream. There's too many moving parts for that. Doesn't matter what that ecosystem is, no one's going to be able to nail every part of it, are they? I think that's clear as day more than ever now, right? And sometimes you've just got to think to yourself, it's still better than it was. Like, we've got a much better position than we were X amount of years ago, where there is no barrier really to empty to start a accounting practice right at the moment, right? And you can build it as you go along. But being forced into one ecosystem, I think, is really starting to put people off. And I think that's what the biggest downfall for Iris Elements is they were forcing it. Iris Elements is amazing if you take this and this out, right? Like, if you have this whole ecosystem, it works really well. But if you don't want that ecosystem, then there's these barriers and you're hitting your head against this. And I think that's what's frustrated people about just, blindly going over there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sad day to see that go. But yeah, it'd be good to hear in the comments. Are people upset by this? Are they moving? Have they already moved? What does this mean for Centre? Because
yeah.
At what point are they going to, technically Centre doesn't need annual updates for compliance and stuff, but is this a final nail in the coffin for Centre as well?
You can't buy Centre, can you? That's been gone a while, hasn't it?
That's been gone a while, but there's plenty of Centre users still out there.
Yeah. But you still want updates to your practice management solution, don't you? Like you guys are a prime example, right? Like people talking, oh, they brought this to it. That's the reason I haven't jumped over. So, I'm going to jump over it.
Like, there's no such thing as a finished product in practice management.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I just, it's strange, isn't it, that it's gone this far south for those loyal users of it. Yeah. I know some big accounting firms that were still using Tax Filer, right? Because it was just the right fit for them, wasn't it? Like, and now, like I said, now moving on.
Well, from companies with no innovation, let's talk about a company with lots of innovation. So you can tell the professionals in charge today. Zama have been busy. I know Jack's from Zama, and I know he's been working on this for a while, and he's very excited by it, and rightly so. This is a fantastic innovation in the AML space. Basically, Zama have launched a integration with Free Agent. There's another one coming out very soon with QuickBooks, which will then be followed by Xero. And as you said to me this morning, Aaron, what is the point? Why do I need my financial management software to link to my AML risk assessment? Well, let me tell you. So, as an accountant or bookkeeper doing an AML check, you should have a financial understanding of your client. And you should be bearing that in mind when you're doing your AML risk assessment. So, if a client's debt ratio suddenly gets really high, does that make them more at risk of potential laundering of money? If they suddenly get huge cash reserves, are we at risk, etc.? So what Zama have done is they've built in a new financial tool into their reporting and their Zama risk assessment process that pulls in balance sheets, etc., from your finance management solution. So currently Free Agent, QuickBooks is coming soon, followed by Xero. I've not heard about anything else. I'm sure they'll be talking to Sage, etc., as well. But basically, they pull that financial information in so that when you're going to go and do your annual review, quarterly review, whatever it is of your client's risk assessment, you can do it in context of their financial information at the time. So it's a huge tick box that I think we've all kind of ignored for a very long time, of this financial understanding of our client. Now, personally, we've been doing source of funds reports via Armalytics in my firm for the last couple of years. So any clients that aren't setting up a new business, they've been trading a while, like more than 6 months, basically. We do a source of funds report when they join us, which gives us a complete understanding of the behavior in the bank that they've got. So have they got a load of cash transactions? Is that what I'd expect for this business? Oh yeah, they're a retailer, so I'd expect like a weekly deposit. Or they're an online seller and they only sell through Amazon. Why have they got a lot of cash coming in and out? That I need to ask questions about that. So we've used source of funds reports from Zama from Armalytics for a couple of years to deliver this insight to this aspect. But I am very aware that the majority of accountants and bookkeepers aren't doing very much about the financial understanding of their clients for AML. So rolling this out is a fantastic advancement for improving our AML process. And again, it shows why using a governing body's home-built software just isn't good enough. It's a minimum standard that we should be working to achieve the best in class, not a minimum standard. And being mandated to use a governing body's minimum standard software is just not acceptable, in my view. So Zama absolutely doing a great bit of work here. Is this something you're going to embrace and adopt, Aaron, in your firm? Once 100%. The QuickBooks one's there, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me though, like we've always been doing the checks and everything and looking at it, but it's on historical data, isn't it? Right. That's where the problem's been. So we've always had to be due diligent and look at it from year to year and everything else. And we do our annual review, but we'd be basing it on either the set of accounts you've just prepared, or in most circumstances,
those accounts are in a separate bit of software, so it's not overly efficient to just go and get that information.
Yeah, and it's manual checks, and it's you. Yeah. And sometimes you got to then have reliance on that person, right? To are they fully competent to be doing these checks? You know, have they got the skill set? Have they, are they up to date on their? And it becomes that sort of element to it, right? Yeah. The problem, rightly so, though, is the fact that it's historical data, and it doesn't matter how quick you are turning around a set of accounts, you're still going to be looking at historical data at that point. And I think this option here, brilliant. We're looking at up-to-date data, as long as the bookkeeping's up to date, but that's one for another matter. We'll test that, right? Like how that can be.
We'll work on the assumption that that's up to date.
Yeah, but if it's not, how's Arma going to figure that one out when it's like, clearly there's missing data here? Is that going to come in? But that's one to test, right? And if anyone can kind of find a solution for it, I'm sure those guys can put an algorithm together to sort that. But it definitely, like, when you mentioned it off air, like what you're going to use it for and everything else, that's where it clicked and thought, actually, with in theory, we should have more reliability on this in terms of, the algorithm, the checks and put into place that Zama could put. It should be stronger than, you asking a team member to do it, where they're rushed against time. They've got a budget to put against. They're going to be as thorough as they can, but they're not going to spend ages doing this task, are they? They're going to go through, tick the boxes and move on, because, that's what we're here to do, isn't it? Is to be efficient. Yeah. Whereas this could look and really fine. It'd be really interesting to see how many, questions got asked prior to this update to now. And like you said, like asking those questions about what's happening here and what's the, why suddenly they've got this and why. It'll be great to have that stats of, how's that changed? How's that suddenly gone from one to the other? That'd be great to see. My only frustration of this is going to be is that this is also reliant on your free agents, your QuickBooks, your zeros. Like, we've been asking for this for a long time for them, but they need to up their way of being able to connect like as of practice. One sign in and then all my clients to be connected would be the dream, right? Like, we've already got databases aligned between Zama and Client Engager. Client Engager is also talking to our QuickBooks on. So in theory, like, they're all links there, right? Like, there's a link. Each client should have the same name. So in theory, this one administration should be one sign in, goes through, connects 90% of your clients, and leaves you with 10% of the ones that have been mismanaged, and we've got to do it manually or whatever. My only one thing here is we're going to have to manually go into each one of these and connect them up and put to the right one and connect them and all that sort of stuff.
But once it's done, once you've got that out of the way of, and then you're just adding new clients as you do it, like, once you get past that first hurdle, it's not so bad.
Yeah. But I'm at a stage at the moment where I'm looking for a VPA. So if anyone's got a good VPA out there that wants some work, I'm looking for someone, because we're considering bringing ourselves over to Adfin, which is going to be a project in itself, right? Like, that's a big project. And I'm looking for someone to do that database move over and everything else and push in and do that properly. I feel like, to do this justice, that's the sort of thing. It's a project, right? Let's get this done.
Oh, definitely. Once the QuickBooks integration for Zama is launched, I'm going to lose my admin person for probably a week going through, linking everything up and stuff. But the value, can you imagine how efficient an AML inspection could be? Like, they come in, they see you've got Zama. It's like, oh, okay, fair enough. Oh, great, you've got your risk assessments. Oh, great. That all pulls that. You pull your risk assessments and ID checks into your practice management tool, like Engager. Great. Oh, and you've got your financial information here as well. Like, it just gives them so much confidence that they go, you know what? Even if I found something that was wrong with this, I'm probably going to give you a bit more leniency because I can see you're trying your best. And mistakes will happen, great. But when you've got no systems in place, when you're looking at a passport and going, yeah, that looks like you, and signing it off, and you've got no knowledge or experience to tell me that's a genuine passport or not, and you're doing the minimum standards, then yeah, AML inspections are going to be laborious. Like that, you're going to lose some efficiency now setting it up, but the efficiency you'll gain when you get inspections and stuff is going to be phenomenal. And the confidence you have to go and not worry about AML because we've got our processes, we've got our systems, we've got our tools, we're done, we're sorted. Just gets better and better.
Yeah, and the timing can be better, right? We were talking off air again. We still a little bit in the dark about what Companies House expect from us in this new era of having to have a subscription and having to pay the £55 or what the fee is going to be. And they've only said to us at the moment that we need to have AML checks in place. Like, haven't really, unless I've missed it, but they haven't really emphasized exactly what that means.
Yeah,
our assumption is we're part of accounting bodies and HMRC or whatever AML supervisionary body we're part of.
What I've read is you're going to have to submit your AML supervision provider and registration number.
Yeah,
and that will keep Companies House happy because they expect your supervisor to maintain your supervision.
High enough standard, yeah.
But, like if that's another company, another legal body expecting your supervisors to be doing a certain standard of job, then those supervisors are going to have to step up and make sure we're delivering to that.
Yeah, and I think stepping up means more inspections, more investigations, more inquiries, more blah blah blah. So I feel like something like this,
it should mean more education, and I don't think it will deliver that. It will deliver more policing, not education.
Yeah, but I do think that something like this will just give us that peace of mind that we're doing as best we can. Like we're going above and beyond, like you've already said, and that's what we need to be doing. Because we're ramping up the seriousness here, aren't we? Like, yes, HMRC's one, we need to be vigilant, but this is, we're basically submitting to Companies House that for them to create a separate legal entity, a whole new company, we've done all these checks and balances and everything else, and we've done everything else. So we're going to be in a lot of we're going to rely on people like Zama going forward that before we even accept creating a company on behalf of a client, that here's a checklist done and dusted. Like, this is our tick box to say, yes, we can now create the company on behalf of them because everything falls into line. And that's the bit where I really do think that having something like this is just going to help us get to that stage quicker, right? And we're going to be able to that. And yeah, this is a new company, so maybe it means that we need to look at other things. And there's whole question marks everywhere, isn't it? But at least going forward, then we would then be, keeping an eye on the company, looking at, doing those annual reviews properly. So it's exciting times, and the time is the right time to do it, isn't it? Because I think AML in this next 3 months, 6 months, however long this Companies House thing is going to go, it's going to come up to a lot of scrutiny, isn't it? So the more robust we can be, the better it is at this point in time.
Definitely. Completely agree. Right, before we move on to our next topic, let's have a quick look at the comments. John Bond said, missed it. What's the news? Ex-Centre user here. So the news was, John, that Tax Filer is been murdered. It has now died. It will be dead as of the end of March. And the reason we were talking about Centre is we were then asking the question of, if Tax Filer has now been sunset, what about Centre? When will that happen? No real tangible news with it. It was just a question.
Yep.
Kirsty says you can still buy Centre. It's got prices on their website.
Really?
I think they might have pricing on the website. I don't know if they've got a sign up button, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so it's a sad as she liked it, but loves Engager more. Fantastic. Right, Marcus from Zama. Good to have you here. Marcus says, thank you, Johann. Well put. Jackson and team have done an incredible job. Accountants and bookkeepers have a unique relationship with their customers from an AML perspective, so they need a solution built for that. Completely and utterly agree. But yeah, great work. I'm looking forward to the QuickBooks integration going live so I can play with that. Niraj, never got a chance to try TaxFiler. When I started working, I saw the demos, but Iris were already pushing Elements. Yeah, they've been pushing it a while, haven't they?
Yeah.
And John says, hasn't it already happened to Center? Not been updated since Jurassic Times. It's not been updated, but it's being maintained and supported. So if something goes wrong, the support team are there to help with it. Whereas as of the end of March this year, they aren't even taking support tickets for TaxFiler. So yeah, cool. Well, let's continue on the theme of innovation. Our friends at Free Agent have been busy little bees. So back when MTD was first kind of announced and we were getting closer and closer to that initial implementation point, a few solutions like QuickBooks and Free Agent launched a landlord package for the landlords that were going to need to be software compliant, MTD IT compliant. We already had Hammock on the scene, who do a fantastic job for landlords. Sage didn't launch anything themselves. They partnered with Hammock as their recommended solution for landlords. QuickBooks launched a landlord type solution, which was really just a renaming of the chart of accounts.
Yeah, they don't even mention it anymore. It's gone now.
Anything, was it?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, is it gone?
Yeah, they don't mention it. It's just not even a part of it.
Cool. And Free Agent launched a landlord solution. So Free Agents always had self-employed, partnership, limited company, etc. But they launched a landlord solution. Their latest update to that has now gone live, where they will split out income and expenses based on your ownership of the property. So if you and your wife co-own a property, or you and your brother co-own a property, and you own it 50-50, you can tell it that split, and it will split out the reports for you, so you can send the right information to HMRC. Rather helpful. It's a tool that I've used in Hammock for a long time, and I've really valued having the ability for it to know so-and-so owns 25% of that property, 50% of that property, 40% of that property. It makes life just so much easier for it to know that and to split it out into the reports for you. So good to see the Free Agent are there. Any thoughts on that? Being a landlord yourself, Mr. Patrick?
I'm just about to sell off my portfolio. Yeah. I think this should be the ultimate play for landlords if you think about it, because we've said a long time, right? The strength of Free Agent is that integration, isn't it? Like the idea that you could just get yourself a Metal bank account up and running. I assume Metal, and because I've been told I'm not allowed a Metal bank, so I don't, I assume they're quite strict on their new people and everything else. But I assume Metal and landlords are a good fit. I'm assuming that.
You also get Free Agent for free with RBS and NatWest, who both own Metal anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, but from a Metal point of view, that seems like a dream come true, doesn't it? Especially the accidental landlords, right? And this is where you feel for them from an MTD point of view, right? They've inherited a new property or whatever the reason is, and they're having to go through for the first time of having to do a first tax return and having to do all that malarkey and everything else. And then this whole thing about MTD on a quarterly basis, they might hit that, quite a substantial property, doesn't it, to get to them numbers, but that number will come down, the limit and everything else will come down at some point. So this should be a perfect dream, right? Because you get your Metal, you've got your Free Agent, you've got submissions through there, you've got all of that all built in. In theory, that should be a really nice one. And you can get borrowing from NatWest and RBS at the same time, right? Because
get your mortgage redone.
Yeah, and you'd imagine, your NatWest and RBS mortgages going forward, they'll love reports from Free Agent because it's it's telling them everything they need, and you can imagine that's going to be a nice fit, right? My only thing I would say at the moment is, last time I looked at Free Agent, they may have changed it. They still haven't nailed the whole grossing up of income. That's still my bugbearer of it. Like Hammock smashed it out of the park. They funnily enough, they knew exactly what they needed to do for that, and they built it directly for that. interest and the way they deal with interest and mortgage and everything else was brilliant in Hammock, isn't it? I think that's the bit that Free Agent, Zero, Sage, QuickBooks going forward need to nail, isn't it? Is that, well, how do we gross up that income properly? How do we put that into play? If they can just nail that bit, then I think that's the perfect solution. Going forward, I love Hammock. I think Hammock's a great product, but I think for my landlord only clients, I think Free Agent could be the ultimate solution for them. I think that's or when they've just got that small portfolio and they just need to keep on top of it. Free Agent seems to be like the best solution for that. I'll be interested to know with the splits and everything how they're going to tackle filing MTD for two different people though, because that was that's a question mark we've still had, isn't it? Like, how is that properly going to work? Is it one subscription you can file both of them and keep on top of it, or do you need somehow have two subscriptions and maybe like transfer the data from one to another? That's the bit that.
Or do you have two subscriptions? You enter all the data yourself on both, but it only files a percentage of each on each.
Yeah, but then you've got to keep it on top of it, right? And like it becomes a bit of you're doing your bookkeeping twice, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. There's no. I don't think the solutions have the answers yet because HMRC keep pushing the boundaries back and like saying, "Oh yes, we'll accept this and not accept that," and everything else. So yeah, it'll be interesting because ideally you just want that one. If I was an end user, like forget having an accountant, but as accountants, we'll have controls in place and checks and everything else, and we'll splice it together one way or another, right? We'll figure it out. But as the end user, you just need to file your MTD for whatever reason you've hit your threshold because of another self-employed income, for example, somewhere else. I just don't know how that's going to be easy for them unless it's one solution for that property and you can file both of them. But it just, everything we've been told feels like HMRC don't like that idea, like the idea of both coming from the same software.
Just to see how it works out in the end.
But for this to really work, this landlord splitting, that's the bit that needs to be solved, isn't it? It's right, okay. We can make it as straightforward as we can to split, but then how are we going to submit from an MTD point of view going forward? That's the bit that no one seems to have nailed. Not because even Hammock's not mentioned how they're doing it, are they? Like, there's no question mark, and that's their bread and butter. Like, that's what they do day in day out. So it'll be interesting. To see, but it's good to see. And like I said, I think it's a match made in heaven. I think that is a perfect.
That myth that when you say, "I don't believe in fairies," a fairy somewhere dies.
Yeah.
Do you think that's just happened at QuickBooks, where Free Agent's going to be the right solution for your landlords? Mr. QuickBooks chap himself has said that. Someone at QuickBooks has just dropped dead.
They know themselves. Like, they're not. Like, that's not their bread and butter, right? Like, just creating a chart of account isn't a landlord solution. We all know that.
It was so poorly judged to assume it was just a wording issue in the chart of accounts.
Yeah.
Hammock have proven quite easily all the important parts and how easy it is to add extra value. Like the fact that it constantly looks at like the property value websites and comes up with valuations and stuff and works out yields and stuff like that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. If I was going to be a betting man going forward, which one would see the innovation of Hammock and go, they're doing some really nice things over there? Yeah. And look, I love Hammock, so they're still a great solution, and I still recommend them for certain parts of my client base. But if you were going to put a bet on of which one's going to go out there and look at Hammock and start, borrowing some of these innovations and put some zest into it, but make it their own sort of thing. Is it going to be Zero? Is it going to be QuickBooks? Is it going to be, no point Sage even attempting to it, right? Because they've already partnered up with Hammock. So you've got three on the table: Free Agent, Zero, or QuickBooks. Which one's going to take those innovations and run with it? We all know which one we think for that. So that type of market, like, there's only one that's been showing innovation in that market, and that's Free Agent, right? So going down the line, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought into it some, valuation element to it and all that sort of stuff, and bring that in, because they've got RBS and NatWest behind them to incentivize that by also, that mortgage you've got there, we might be able to do a better deal on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what they've got as a benefit, isn't it?
Huge opportunity. Absolutely huge. I mean, Paul said in the comments that he's had to take a landlord off Hammock last year because they don't support VAT, and the client hit the VAT, wanted to go VAT registered. Interestingly, we had the opposite. We pitched Hammock to a client who was VAT registered and didn't need to be. He was only VAT registered because he wanted to get his money back on his refurbs and stuff. And he actually dropped VAT registration to use Hammock because he felt Hammock was such great value to him. But yeah, Hammock not doing VAT, I would argue they need to get on with it because it is a limiting factor. Whereas free agent landlord solution can do VAT, to my understanding. So
yeah, few and far between, aren't they? Landlord VAT one, right? Yeah, that's what you got. And I just, you can see that as your bit there where you always talk about as from a metal user that they don't even need to jump into free agent.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a landlord and you don't need to jump into free agent, oh, what a dream! Do you know what I mean? Like, you just categorize it on your metal. You've gone and bought this, new kitchen or whatever it is, a new tap for your kitchen or something. You quickly record it, boom, 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 done. Like, that's all the integration.
And then free agent feeds back to metal how much you should have put to one side for your self-assessment tax return.
Oh yeah, even better. Yeah.
Well, now it knows even more accurately because it's, instead of just using the profit for the whole of the property where maybe you and your wife have 50-50, it's now telling you, well, you only need to put the tax for 50% of that profit to one side. And it's like, oh, okay. It's even more accurate with the tax bill guessing assumption.
How good is it at knowing outside of free agent though? That, because I've never had to play around with it.
You can go into free agent, you can tell it like, I've got this salary, I've got this, and it does start to look at it. So there are limits.
But it's for an estimate. That's still what you need, right? Like, your personal allowance has been used up, or you're in the higher rate bucket. That's all they need to know. It's just those two pieces of information, isn't it? So
that's it.
Interesting. But yeah, you're right. I think that bit works really well, and that's adding value to client, right? And from them, they think it's magical because they're taking photos or whatever they're doing through their metal app and everything.
Life's easy.
It'd just be nice if I could get into metal and I'll do some reviews on it. But
you're obviously an AML risk. Whatever you're doing is obviously upsetting them greatly. Right. Conference season kicking off soon. 15 days until the first big conference of the year, which is Engager Labs. Very excited for that. The agenda for Engager Labs is now live. So if you've not got your ticket or you're holding off to see who the speakers are and what we're speaking about, make sure you go to the Engager Labs website, which is engager.app/labs25. And have a look at the lineup for speakers there. We are a full day of practice management practice management insights in general. I was on the 25th of February in Liverpool. Aaron, you're there, you're speaking. I mean, you had to push to get that slot. I wasn't overly happy with you having a speaking slot. I was trying to improve the quality, but
ouch. It should be good though. Should be good. There's some stellar speakers there, isn't there? So
we're really pleased with the lineup.
And we're there with Matthew the accountant as well. So if you are there, come along, get yourself a top trump card. The slots sold out Lizzie keeps putting sold out, but yeah, they were fully booked in absolute no time. So we were going to be there all day. We are fantastic. And we'll be doing a little thing called a what do you call it as well, won't we? A grid walk. So
we will. Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to do
that. Behind the scenes one.
Yeah.
All access areas, like nothing off. Yeah. Can't wait for that. That'd be so cool.
But that is literally the start of the conference season. I was looking at my diary the other day and went, oh dear, it started. So we've got labs on the 25th of February. Mm-hmm. Then we've got Fab.
This one already. See, this is the problem. Like this is we literally have Engager 1 week. There is also, isn't there the alternative accountancy something other before that as well? There's another one before that one.
So if we go with events that are bigger than 500 people attending,
that's a tiny bit harsh. But no, we've got.
Oh, it's not my fault. QuickBooks limited it.
Engagers there, and then we've got a week after. Literally, the week after is QuickBooks in Tobacco Dock. and then the week after that is Fab. Then the week after that, or maybe there's a week in between.
A couple of weeks in between, I think,
And then weeks in between, yeah.
And then it's Daz.
Yeah.
Which, so Fab, you and I will both be at. Sorry, hang on. Engager Labs, you and I will both be at.
Yes.
And Ask the Accountant will be there and doing interviews and grid walks, etc. So watch out for the content there. QuickBooks Connect, I'm assuming you'll be at.
Yeah, I'm speaking, and we are doing a live podcast, and I'm doing a come talk to me booth thing,
Cool.
And all that lot. So that'll be good. Live podcast and everything else going from the floor itself of all the announcements. That'll be good.
Nice.
Fab, which is you're there, right?
So Fab, I'm there for both days with the Engager team. We've got a stand, busy. Ask the Accountant to be confirmed. We're just trying to sort out the logistics side of things.
Should be that, but definitely not a stand. Definitely not.
No, it's
podcasting. It's more
potentially there in person.
Not podcasting the public, isn't it? It's podcasting vendors and getting some scoops, that sort of stuff. We're being touted as or potentially touted as press.
Yes.
So it's something different, right? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we get out of
that. So that's Fab. Daz, I'm going to be there on day one to speak with as part of the admin speaking slot, which is around 4:30 in the afternoon. But I'm just there as a visitor on day one and a speaker. Day two, I'm not going to be there. Aaron, I think you said you're going to be Daz at day one.
Pretty sure it's day one. I'm there as my speaking slot. Yeah. There's another slot that they want me to be in. I don't know. I don't know if that's day one or day two yet, and go through from there. But we will. Our aim though is for both Fab and Daz is to at least try and do, because we're there anyway. Let's try and do the
we'll do some content. Yeah.
Let's the grid walk's the one thing that we know adds value, and it's a great, more than anything, it's for the event organizer to look back on, because that's feedback we've had, right? It's we love going back and seeing, we put this here, put that there. So we're going to try and put that into play.
And then May, Accountex London,
and we are 100% now confirmed as
we are.
Ask the Accountant. Yeah, we're going. Yeah, really excited for that.
So it'll be another Ask the Accountant podcast pit stop. 2 solid days, same kind of setup. Yeah. Grid walks, the lot, same setup. Caroline has been extraordinarily supportive as always from Accountex. So yeah, we'll have our stand again like we did last year. We're going to be doing podcast pit stops all day, every day, 2 grid walks, whatever else content we can come up with while we're there. It's going to be full on, but incredible.
I think there's potentially 2 talks already on that one as well.
Yeah, I've got a couple of inquiries at the moment. We're just trying to thrash out topics and stuff.
So it'd be interesting.
Fantastic.
Just so much going on, isn't there? Week after week.
And that's just the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Because June, July, August is dead. And then September onwards, we kick off again.
Well, you say June, July, August is dead. It's potentially going to be there. That's where you'd expect your tours to happen, right? Your free agent will no doubt want to do that.
They'll be doing their little road shows and stuff like that.
Go around. That's the problem, isn't it?
Sage have got an MTD roadshow that they're putting on throughout the year, and there's just so much going on.
I mean, it is. I love the fact we're involved. I love that side of it. But yeah, when you look at it and you look at your diary, it's
that's getting busy.
Yeah. So.
Getting very busy. Linda in the comments says speakers look amazing and so pleased it kicks off at 10 a.m. Great to travel from Manchester. Yep. So doors for labs
that we don't get to go the day before, do we, to set up? So as a vendor, we're very happy it's at 10 a.m. We can start at 6. That's not too bad. That's not the
doors open at 9.
Right, brilliant. Yeah. Okay.
Doors open at 9. Exhibitors are ready for 9. And speaking that I open the event at 10 o'clock on the main stage. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic day. We've got some incredible speakers, incredible exhibitors. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic day.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And in different area, right? Like Liverpool, it's, you know, I'm already excited. I get to go to a burger place called Byron for the first time since you and me last went to Byron.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're going go-karting the day after. There's like we just wouldn't be able to do in other venues because we're kind of like, you know, London's London, right? We go there and we come back as quick as possible. But actually, there's something a bit more. It's somewhere new, right? So having to spend a bit of time, you don't want to just jump straight out of there, right? It's different. Yeah. It's something like, for anyone who's never been to, our first time in Liverpool was what, 2 years ago, something like that.
Van, 2 years ago for the Golf Open, yeah.
That wasn't it? Yeah. We loved it. Like, it was our first time in Liverpool properly, wasn't it? That we'd you know, spent any time in there. Loved it. Great location. So I think that's going to add to the Engager one. It's not just the fact that it's Engager's first one. It's not the fact that there's some amazing speakers, amazing vendors there, but I think Liverpool itself will add to it, and I think that's going to be cool. Just people's first time going there and having it, because that whole docks area, like, we were blown away, weren't we? Like, how
we love it.
Yeah,
it's a great place for food and drink, hospitality in general. The venue's incredible. It's absolutely incredible venue, really clean, modern, fantastic space. So yeah, it's going to be great, and there's a lot more announcements still to come up. So we've got the main stage, so we're going with like a TEDx kind of thing of 20-minute speakers about different topics. There are going to be 2 side theatres, one run by Buddy Payroll, one run by Xenon, and they're going to have their own little speaking sessions going on as well. Plus, all of our exhibitors are out in the main foyer. You're not going to get bored, put it that way.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Really looking forward to it.
Really. Stephanie Marshall says, sorry I couldn't make it. I'd have had Aaron's slot though. We got a lot of inquiries for speaking slots at Labs. We got a lot of inquiries. Like, it's very much like the audience people want to be speaking to. So it's exciting. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I love the idea. It's like a TEDx style. I think that's different, right? That's something different. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to you know, what announcements Engager's going to bring to the table. That'll be
if you have a look at the agenda, you'll know you won't be getting any announcements until the last part of the day.
That's what I mean.
We're not doing it in the morning. We're not going to do here's all our big announcements and then watch you all disappear for the rest of the day. So hello, welcome. Here's our speakers. I'll come back this evening and tell you about all the important stuff.
And is it being live streamed, or are we allowed to live stream it ourselves? If not,
you guys can live stream all you like. We are doing some recordings. We don't know how well that's going to turn out, so we're not making any promises and guarantees for content after the event. But we're giving it a try. We're going to see what we can create, so we can then plan further for next year.
Yeah, sounds good.
After this test run. Right, well, folks, that brings us up to 9:30 on the Monday morning. So we will leave you all to go and get on with the rest of your weeks. Aaron, what have you got coming up this week?
Good question. What have I got coming up this week? Oh, I'm blanking out, but I've got something towards the end of the week. Something's happening. Oh, I'm down in London again. Why do you think I blanked it out?
Yeah,
another trip down into London via Birmingham this time. So that'll be an interesting different commute. So that'll be fun to go. But yeah, no, and just a lot of PNT calls. Like, a lot of them. I've got something like 20 PNT calls for
nice
to fill in. So yeah, that'll be entertaining to go through. What about yourself, Jan? Anything exciting for this one?
Nothing major going on this week. In the firm, in Engager, cracking on. It's a busy time for software vendors in February. That's the focus, is just support, demos, etc. for Engager. Cracking on with that.
Yeah.
Should be good. But hopefully everybody has a good week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Thank you for commenting and bringing in your thoughts and opinions. That's always very helpful, and it keeps us honest and true. We will see you all, though, this time next week for episode 120.
So you do get to say it. You just have to.
There you go. Done it.
The end of the 119. Cheers, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.